Health and safety culture. To manage the health and safety and to improve the health and safety in an organization, the culture is very, very important. If your health and safety culture is not good, okay, and people, they are not taking care of health and safety, they don't care about the health and safety things, your culture will be very poor. Okay, so improving culture, managing the culture is the most important thing to maintain the health and safety in the organization. In simple terms, culture can be thought of as collective attitude within an organization. Okay, it is a collective attitude. The ideas and beliefs that all members of the organization share about risk, accidents, and ill health. That's called the health and safety culture. Now, health and safety culture is made up of formal and informal rules, relationships, values, customs, technological and individual structures, etc. Together, they make up the feel of the organization. Some of the characteristics to help you to identify the culture of an organization flow. Okay, the follow will be there. Okay, relationship between health and safety culture and performance. Positive culture. The 4 C's of a positive health and safety culture are competence, control, cooperation, and communication. The next slide, I will explain you how the competence, control, and cooperation from the employees, from other people, and the communication can play a major role to maintain a positive health and safety culture in the organization. Okay, so let's see that. Positive culture, the 4 C's. These are the 4 C's which is very, very important to maintain the health and safety culture in the organization. The first one is the competence. Competence is the number one priority. You have to make sure that the individual person who's working in your company, they are competent to do their task. Okay, they are competent to identify the hazard and risk, and they are competent how to control the hazard, and they are competent how to control the risk as well. Okay, it is a systematic identification and development of skills, resulting in a workforce that is well informed and knowledgeable about risk and precautions, procedure that exist controlling risk. Okay, the competence is very, very important for each and every employee if you want to maintain a positive culture in the organization. After that, control, clear demonstration of commitment, an organizational structure in which responsibilities are clear and people are accountable. Okay, clear demonstration of commitment. Commitment should be clearly displayed or shown by the higher management of the company. Okay, if the control is not there and the demonstration towards the commitment is not there, it will be very difficult to maintain the health and safety culture, okay, in the organization. So these are the 4 C's of the positive culture, okay, of the positive culture. The competence, control, cooperation, and communication. Competence of whom? Competence of employee. Each and every employee, they should be competent towards their roles and responsibilities towards their health and safety hazards and their controls, and how they can raise the issues such as health and safety accident, incident, and where they can report, how they can report. All of these things, they should be competent. They should be competent about the SOPs. They should be competent about the procedures they have to use. Okay, so the competence is very, very important to achieve the positive culture of the organization. Control, clear demonstration of commitment. There should be a clear demonstration of commitment from the top management, okay, till the down level staff. Okay, everyone should be committed towards their roles and responsibility towards health and safety. Only then you can control the negative health and safety culture in the organization. Okay, after that, cooperation. Employees are involved in planning and developing safe system of work, as well as monitoring performance, an atmosphere in which everyone is actively involved in continuous improvement. You have to get the cooperation from the each and every employee. If you think that you will do and you will manage each and everything by yourself because you are a health and safety officer and you have enough knowledge, so this is the wrong thing you are doing. Okay, do not think that, because alone you can't do anything. Definitely you need each and every person support, cooperation, to maintain the positive health and safety culture, because you can't observe each and every person, and you can't work 24 into 7. Okay, so that's why you need the cooperation of each and everyone. Okay, and you have to involve them. Okay, how you're going to involve them? There are different ways which you have to use to involve the employees. Okay, after that we have the communication. Communication is the main source of positive health and safety culture. Okay, you have to communicate with your employees. Okay, each and everything should be communicated. If you are if you are creating a policy, that should be communicated. If you are creating a format checklist, each and everything that should be communicated. If you will not communicate with your employees, they don't know that what they have to do and what are the new things are implemented in the organization. Okay, do not do these things. Okay, so communicate each and everything. Okay, providing information about risk plans, objectives, and feedback on performance. Also an atmosphere in which individuals are encouraged to report hazards and near misses as well as injuries. Okay, if you will communicate, they will work properly and they will report you each and everything. Then your life will get easier. Okay, after that, negative culture. Organizational objectives. The private sector may be motivated by profit and the public sector by providing a service and political objectives. Okay. The private sector, they are motivated by the benefit, okay, financial benefit, and the public sector by providing a service and political objectives. Management may sacrifice safety at expense of prime company objectives. Okay, most of the time managements, what they will do, they will avoid the and they will sacrifice the health and safety things because of the health and safety things. They are thinking that it is expensive and they are not getting direct benefit. Okay, directly benefit they are not getting, so they are avoiding the health and safety. After that, the workforce may lose faith in safety policies and practices and view management as untrustworthy and unethical. They may also develop a pay first mentality in reflection of management values. Okay, so if these above things will happen, so workforce, what they will do, they will also lose their faith, their belief in health and safety. Okay, they will also start to do the shortcuts. Okay, they will take the shortcuts and they will put their work and the pay on the first thing rather than health and safety first, and more accidents and the more incident will start to happen because of these negative culture. Okay, organizational objectives like private sector, public sector, and management will sacrifice the health and safety, and the workforce will lose the faith. So all of these things will play a major role to create a negative health and safety culture. Okay, so you have to deal with these things very carefully whenever you are dealing with these things. Okay. Negative culture, management decision making by management and subordinates is vital. Okay, distrust and doubt about management arise when there are no rules or precedents, decisions are arbitrary and inconsistent, refusal to delegate, constant decision reversal, decision influenced by conflicting goals, lack of consultation, decisions motivated by personal ambitions, inconsistency of message and actions. So these are the things, because of management decision making, these are the things will play a major role to create a negative health and safety culture. Organizational change. Whenever there is any organization change, that will also play a negative health and safety culture. Accident increase during periods of change. Problems arising during this time are resistance to change, maintenance of operations during change. Okay, change in the sense that what are the things are changing. Maybe the change is happening of management. Maybe the change is happening for the process. Maybe the change is happening for the machineries. So during this time, most of the accidents and the incidents will happen. Why? Because the so many people, they are not ready for the change. Okay, and maintenance thing will be carried out at this time of changes. Okay, so the most of the accident and incident will happen. Uncertainty, maybe lack of clear framework for deciding course of action. Maybe the people, they don't know during the changes what they have to do. Okay, individual then make their own independent decisions. Then individual will start to work in their own way. Okay, so that's why these things need to be controlled clearly. Now, indicators of health and safety. What are the indicators? These are very difficult issues to grasp. we need to have farm indicators of health and safety culture, which we can collect and measure. Okay, they can be active indicators or reactive indicators. Health and safety cultures, okay, health and safety indicators of health and safety, they could be active indicators or they could be reactive indicators. Okay, now indicators of health and safety, what are they? The active indicators show how plans are implemented through compliance with systems and procedures. These are the active indicators. After that, reactive indicators show outcomes of breaches in systems and procedures, example, accident statistics. Okay. Active indicators, the things which you are doing before any accident or incident happening. Okay, like inspection, audits, these are the active indicators. After then, reactive indicators like accident statistics, okay, accident investigations, these are reactive indicators. We expand on this later in the section on monitoring. Okay, we will expand this one. Now, indicators of health and safety indicators: compliance with rules and procedures, complaints, accidents, absenteeism and sickness rates, staff turnover, employee morale, fine and penalties, compensation claims. These are the indicators, okay, of health and safety. Now, indicators: compliance with rules and procedures, example, safe working practices and protective measures used. High level of compliance indicates a positive health and safety culture. Monitoring is by use of informal and formal checks, okay, for the compliance. Now for the complaints about working conditions, high level of complaints indicates poor health and safety culture. Accident data can be collected easily and analyzed. We can collect the accident data easily and we can analyze that one if any organization they are keeping the record of accidents, okay, strategically to give information on trends. Now the absenteeism and sickness rates. This data definitely you will get from the HR or the like the supervisor or manager, and these absenteeism and sickness rate also you can check. It may be a long lag phase. Okay, staff turnover may indicate workplace problems. Why the staff they are leaving the company? Okay, what is the reason? This may show the workplace problem or negative health and safety culture, example, low pay, poor morale, lack of direction, training and opportunities. These are the reason could be. Now, improving health and safety culture. How you can improve your health and safety culture? First of all, effective communication, leadership and commitment, equal priority, accident investigation and consultation. These are the 5 very important things which you can use to improve the health and safety culture. Now the cycle of communication. The sender originates the message. It is encoded, words, gesture, and symbols. It is transmitted, written, oral, non-verbal. Okay, written, oral, or non-verbal. The receiver target audience decodes the message. It is interpreted by the receiver. Feedback follows in two-way communications. Okay, a cycle of communication. So this is the cycle of communication. How the communication will happen. Okay. Now the definitions of communication. Communication is the process of conveying, or exchanging information to another individual or group, and where necessary, triggering a response. The information may be facts, feeling, or ideas. So the communication is a two-way process. Okay. So whatever you are communicating to the people, they should communicate with you also. Okay, you have to you don't have to just read the speech. You have to get the feedback from the people also. Only then it will be called communication. Otherwise it is a speech. There is no use of this thing. Now, organizing communication, propaganda, an organized scheme of propagation of doctrine or practice. Posters and publicity campaigns were used at one time to pursue and convey a campaign of action for workforce. Okay, these were the way we were using previously to communicate the things to our people. Now, forms of communication. How many forms of communication will be there? Now, the verbal communication also is there. Example, use of words, written, informal, or formal will be there. And after then, there will be oral, like face-to-face, phone and meetings. Non-verbal communication, picture and graphic symbols, body language, by email also. Okay. So these are the things will be there. Don't forget listening skills. Okay. You have to Make sure you should have the listening skills. As I said earlier, communication is a two-way process. So you have to listen to your people also. Okay. Excuse me. Now the methods of communication. Some examples. Workers handbooks. Okay. How you can communicate with the worker. Worker handbooks is a very good idea. After that, procedure manual, safety briefings, toolbox talks, memoranda. Okay. Notices, posters, and films and signs. These are the things you can use to communicate with the workforce. Okay. How effective are they? You have to check also. Okay. If they are not effective, you have to change the way of communication. And the most effective way of communication that you have to use continuously. Okay. Now, internet source of information. The international these are the internet source of information where you can get the information. Okay. The International Labour Organization, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, the European Agency for Health and Safety at Work, okay, HSE UK, and WorkSafe Western Australia. Okay, these are the website you can use to get the information. Communication, safety signs and signals. How you can communicate? We can communicate with the people with the safety signs and signals. Signs are likely to fall into one of the following groups and must comply with the approved style. Okay, we have the different signs of signal. Okay, first one we have the prohibition, mandatory signs, warning signs, and the safe conditions. Okay, so these are the signs. Okay, the first one you can see it is a prohibition sign. Prohibition sign. It will be circled by red. Okay, and the background will be white. Okay, it's called prohibition sign. After that, mandatory, it could be full blue, and it could be the sign inside blue circle there would be white. Okay, after then warning, like it's a triangle. In this triangle the background will be yellow and it will be marked, the corner will be marked by black. After that, safe condition, it is a green with the white. Okay, so these are the signs. We have the prohibition, mandatory, warning, and safe condition sign. Okay, now the environment of communication. The environment can be positive or negative to effective communication. Okay, the context and culture may affect the words and gesture used. Interference, known as noise. Okay, transmission affected by physical interference, fatigue, and distractions affect decoding. Okay, these are the negative environment of communication. After that, communication, effective listening, positive listening techniques, attentive, okay, empathetic. Okay, whenever there is any communication is happening, you should listen to your employees also, public also. You should be attentive. Okay, questioning techniques, use of closed question. Whenever you are asking any question to your employee, do not ask yes, no. Do not ask these type of question. Ask them why, how, when. Okay, these type of open question you should ask with your employees. Now the clarification and justification, avoid leading questions. Okay, so do not ask or do not involve with the leading questions. Now, application, effective listening, use of open question. As I said, I keep 6 honest serving men. They taught me all I know. The names are what, why, when, how, where, and who. So whenever you are asking any questions, you should use this one. These are the main words. Okay, what happened, why happened, when happened, how it's happened, where it happened, and who did it. Okay, who is the responsible. Okay, who should do that. Okay, these are the words you should use whenever you are doing the communication with your employees. Okay, now the barriers to effective communication. What are the barriers to effective communication? Noise and distractions. First of all, the area which you have choose, that is very noisy, and the people, they are destructive. Okay, the other work is going on, though, so they cannot concentrate on your things which you are explaining to the employees. So the choose the area properly. Complexity of information. The information which you are providing, it is very complex. Like you are providing the high level information to your labor. Okay, like the person who's working as a carpenter, and you are providing him the information, the CEO level or the director or the manager level of type of information. So to choose the information properly, the type of information you want to provide to your employee. Language and dialect of the speaker. You have to choose the proper language as per your audience. Okay, if your audience they cannot understand your language, you have to choose the different language and different way of communication. Now the sensory impairment. Okay, sensory impairment also is very important that you have to take care. Use of technical jargon. Okay, do not use any technical jargon that is very difficult to understand for the lower level staff. Mental difficulty. Okay, if the people they are mentally unstable, okay, they can't understand your language, understand your information, that you have to check also. Now the lengthy communication. The communication should be as less as possible. Okay, if it is lengthy, it will be, there won't be any like people they will not take care of this communication. They will take it as lightly. Okay, because they can't stand or they can't sit or they cannot listen you continuously because they will get fed up. Okay, because they don't have the habit of these things. Now in attention, if the people they are not attentive, you should communicate in that way. They will give you the proper attention to your speech. Okay, your communication. Inexperience or the recipient, maybe the person who's giving the communication or giving the information is inexperienced. The person should be experienced also how to handle the crowd, how to handle the staff, okay, and how to communicate with the people. Fatigue and stress. Sometimes if you will try to give some information to your employees, you have to check the conditions where they are working. Maybe they are working outside the sun, where they are feeling very stressed, sweaty, okay, and they are feeling fatigue. And you suddenly will go there and start to do the toolbox talks or the communication. You should avoid these things because that is no use, okay, and they will not listen because of these things. Peer group pressure. Maybe sometimes what will happen, their colleague, they don't want to listen these things, and other people also, they will avoid these things. So you have to check these things also, and these are the barriers for effective communication. Okay, now organizing consultation. It is a legal duty to consult with workers concerning health and safety in many countries. Okay, standards found in ILO C 155 Article 20, ILO R 164 Article 12. Aim is to bring about cooperation. It is good practice even though it may not be legal requirement. Okay, if you are following ILO or if you are following ISO 45000 2018, it is a requirement of ISO standard also that you should do the consultate with your workforce also. Okay, so it is a requirement. And organizing consultation, how you can organize the consultation with the people, with the workforce. There are different ways to organize the consultation with the workforce. You can use like hazard identification, risk assessment. You can involve them whenever you are making any SOPs. You can involve them whenever you are doing health and safety committee meetings. You can involve them. You can development of training programs. Whenever you are developing any training programs, you can consult with your workforce. Okay, so there are different ways where you can consult with your workforce. And whenever you are consulting with your workforce, do not forget to maintain the documents also. Okay, maintain the documents. Write the name of the employee whom did you consult, their name, their ID number, the date. Okay, all this information should be recorded because at the time of audit you have to show these documents also. Okay, now organizing consultation, non-formal consultation, safety circles. Okay, informal discussion groups, people can share ideas and suggest solutions. Work and office meeting committee, weekly meetings of shop floor staff, supervisors and managers. Formal consultation includes formal committee. Sorry, so as I told you earlier, okay, so there are different ways of communication, okay, or consultation that you have to use. Now function of safety committee. I believe that if you are working in some any companies, there are a safety committee which is taking care of the safety things. Okay, now what are the functions of safety committees? What they should do? They should do the study of accident and disease statistics. Like if they are meeting every 3 months, 6 months, or yearly, they have to go through that data. After that, examination of safety audit reports, they have to examine that one. Consider reports and information from enforcing bodies. If there is any reports or any audits coming from the enforcing bodies, they have to consider those things also. They have to consider reports from safety representatives. Assist in development of procedures and policies. They should assist, okay, to develop the procedures and policies of health and safety. Monitor the effectiveness of training. They should monitor the effectiveness of the training. The training they are providing inside the company. Is it effective or not? Or they have to make some other trainings also. Okay. Monitor and improve safety communications. If the communication is proper or not. Is it happening in a proper way? Is everyone they are understanding the communication, whichever the communication they are getting? Provide a link with enforcing agency. Okay, so these are the function of safety committees they should perform. It is not limit. It is only the basic one. There could be the more like functions of safety committees as per the company and the organization and the country wise. Now, organizing consultation. What makes a committee effective? So you have the health and safety committee, but is it effective or not? Okay, and what will make it effective? Right number and mixture of members. Whenever you are making a health and safety committee, make sure you are involving each and every employee uh, from the each department, and make sure you have the lower level employee also. Okay, educate authority. Health and safety committee, they should have the educate authority. Okay, knowledge and expertise. They should be mixed up with the knowledge and expertise. There should be good communicator, suitable level of formality, more than half the members being proactive, input from outside, assigned specialist, minutes, actions, and deadlines. Okay, whenever you are doing any meeting, there should be minutes of meeting should be recorded, and the actions and deadlines should be there. Limit input of individuals and identified and agreed priorities. Okay, and during the meetings, you have to identify and agree the priorities as well. Okay, so these things will make your health and safety committee effective. Okay, very effective. Now, what is a team briefing? For formal spreading of information through the organization, combines upward and downward communication, cascades down. Okay, allow for short discussion and feedback in small groups, deliver 10 to 20 members. Okay, it is a team briefing. Lead by manager or supervisor, explains varying relevance of information to each group. Okay, now training can be defined. Now we will talk about training. Training can be defined as a planned process to modify attitude, knowledge, or a skill, behavior through learning experience to achieve effective performance in an active or range of activities. Okay, so this is the definition of training. Now, training, what does it achieve? What we can achieve through the training? Use new equipment. It develops specific skills. Okay, through the training, we can develop the specific skills to use new equipment, to operate a computer, write a letter or a report. It may assist in career growth. Okay, through the training, we can achieve each and everything. Okay, if you have to do anything, you must get a training first. Okay, how is it identified? By carrying out a training need analysis. You have to do the training need analysis, okay, to your employees. Okay, only then you can identify what type of training you have to give to your employee. Identifying training needs. How you can identify the training needs? Stage 1, analyze job content and performance standards. You have to analyze the job content and performance standards. Who's the people, what type of job they are doing. Okay, job analysis. They have to do task and job analysis. After then, refer to risk assessment. You have to refer to the risk assessment also. Stage 2, decide what knowledge, skills, and experience are needed. Okay. After then, stage 3, you have to assess existing competence by past experience and qualification, performance appraisal, and observation. When you are assessing each and every employee training need analysis, you have to check that their past experience, what qualification they are holding, their performance appraisal and observation also. Okay, because each and every employee you can't provide the same training. Okay, maybe some of the employee they have the master degree, but some of the employee they have only they have passed only 10th grade or 8th grade. Okay, so you have to check these things also. The difference between stage 2 and 3 is the training need. Okay, who needs training? Now, who needs the training and when they need the training? First of all, induction is a everyone need the induction training, whether it is like lower level staff or it is the CEO. Newly appointed employee from outside the organization also, what needs to be covered in what detail and when. Job or process change. If there is any job changes, if there is any process change, you must train your staff. Changes in legislation. If there is any change in legislation, change in law, you have to train your staff. Okay. Now, training techniques. How you can train your staff? You can train your staff face to face. Face to face how? Classroom, lecture, demonstration, TBT, on the job training, and role plays. Distance or open learning also, it is the second type of training you can provide. Now, training. Alternatives to training. What are the alternatives of training if you don't provide training face to face? Discipline, posters, fear tactics, health and safety videos, interactive trainings, and discussion groups are the alternatives of training. Now, the human factors which influence behavior. We will talk about the behavior. The three spheres of influence on safe, unsafe behavior. How people behave at work is influenced by the organization, job, and individual. You can remember this thing by JOI, job, organization, and individual. So the job, organization, and individual is influence the behavior of the people. Okay. Now, how the organization can influence the behavior of the people? First of all, organization, what type of culture they have? They have the positive culture, positive health and safety culture, or negative health and safety culture. The culture is there, automatically the staff, they will start to behave in that way. Okay. After then, leadership. What type of leadership is provided by the organization to the staff? Okay. If their leader are not properly properly supervised, or they are not properly trained, and they don't know the health and safety properly, then the staff who is reporting to them, they will behave in that way. After that, resources. If you are providing any resources or not to the employee, then that will also affect the behavior. Then communication. If they are not getting the proper communication from the top level staff, from the manager, from the subordinates, then it will also affect them. Now, the job factors. High risk task. If they are performing any high risk task, that will also affect them. Now, safe system of work. If the safe system of work is not working properly, if it is not implemented, that will also influence the behavior of the staff. Economic factors. Now, the economic factors like how they have to work, how they have to complete the work, whether they have the proper area, maintain the proper postures. These things also affect the human behavior. Now, the environment means proper lighting, ventilations. These are the things are there or not. Workload, how much work they have to do. Okay, like they have to work continuously through 8 to 5, 9 hours, 12 hours, and it's very stress work. So that will also influence the behavior of the people. Procedure for emergency, if there is any procedures for emergencies or not. Okay. Now, the individual factor. Individual differences, physical and mental. Now, if the person, they have the individual differences like the physical or mentally, so these things also will affect the behavior. Okay. After that, attitude, aptitude, and motivation and perception. So these are the individual factors which will influence the behavior of the human. Now, the attitude, the tendency to respond in a particular way to a certain situation. Example, it will never happen to me. We will think that it will never happen to me. We have never had an accident, etc. That we are saying. That is our attitude. Now, the aptitude is a tendency to be good at certain things. Now, the motivation, the driving force behind the way a person acts in order to achieve goal. That is the motivation. So these are the differences between attitude, aptitude, and motivation. Now, 3.4 risk assessment. Now we will discuss about the risk assessment. Okay. Now, what is risk assessment? Risk assessment is nothing more than a careful examination of what in your work, okay, could cause harm to people, so that you can weigh up whether you have taken enough precautions or should do more to prevent harm. Okay. So risk assessment is a proper process where you will identify hazard and where you will identify the risk and whether the controls are properly implemented or not, or you have to implement the more control measures to make sure that no one will get harmed. Okay. The aim is to make sure that no one gets hurt or becomes ill. Accidents in health can ruin lives and affect your business if not controlled. So that's why we have to conduct a risk assessment. Now, introduction to keywords and phrase. Hazard. Okay. What is the hazard? Hazard, it could be anything. We can say that hazard, it could be anything which can cause harm. Now the risk. What is the risk from the hazard? The risk from the hazard is the likelihood that a hazard will cause harm in combination with the severity of injury, damage, or loss that might possibly occur. What is the risk? We can say that risk is the likelihood. Okay, likelihood means how frequently it will occur, how frequently it will happen. Okay, and the consequences, likelihood and the consequences or the severity, how severe it will be. Okay, like if anyone will if anyone will fall down from a building, how severely he will get injured, how severely maybe he will die, or what is the severity of that accident. So it is the combination of likelihood and the severity. Okay, that is a risk. Now, risk profiling, the process used at a strategic level to recognize the range of risks that threaten an organization along with the likelihood and the probability impacts of those risks. Okay, risk profiling takes into consideration the risk management controls that are already in place so that their effectiveness can be assessed and further risk management controls identified and prioritized. So the risk profiling is nothing more than a documentation where you will identify all the hazard, risk, and the control measures already are there in the place, and whether you require more controls or not. Okay. After then, a risk profile examines the nature and level of the threats posed by the organization, likelihood of those adverse effects occurring, level of disruption and cost associated with each type of risk, effectiveness of controls in place to manage those risks. Okay, so these are the things we will include in the risk profiling. Now, the risk profiling process identify the health and safety threats posed by the organization. As I said earlier, you have to identify the hazard, you have to identify the risk, and you have to identify the severity by numbering. You have to decide how severely is this and the likelihood of that one, and you have to identify the control measure and whether you require the more control or not. Okay, so those are the things you have to identify through the risk profiling. Okay. After that, we will start the risk assessment. How you can conduct the risk assessment? Conduct the risk assessment is very important and it is very easy. So you don't have to worry about it. It is only 5 steps process. The first steps is identify the hazard. Okay. So how you can identify the hazard? To identify the hazard in your organization, the best way is take a walk, and do not take a walk alone. Take a walk with the different people. Okay, because each and everything you don't know, you need the different knowledge of people, different expertise to identify the hazards. Okay, so the first step is identify the hazard. What are the things that can cause harm? You have to identify that one. Okay, take a walk, note it down all the things one by one. Okay, so that is our first steps of hazard identification. Identify the hazard. Now you can identify how many hazards are there. Okay, and you can do your homework in this one. That identify the hazards. Hazards can be categorized by type: physical, chemical, okay, economic, biological, and psychological. So whenever you are doing the any work, okay, around your facility, just concentrate on these things: physical, chemical, economic, biological, and psychological. Okay. Now, hazards can be identified, as I said: inspection, accidents and ill health records, hazard books, guidance documents, manuals, HAZOPs, involvement of others, also job safety analysis also. So these are the things, these are the methods you can use to identify the hazards. Okay. Now, who might be harmed? So once you identify the hazard, you have to think who might get harmed from that hazard. Okay. Which group of people are at risk? Maybe the operators, maybe the maintenance staff, maybe the cleaners, contractors, visitors, members of public, or trespassers. So these things also you have to think. Now, certain groups, especially at risk, you have to check the certain groups of people, like the young people, new or expectant mothers, people with disabilities, lone workers, new starters, and the temporary staff. You have to think about these people also. If so, record who they are. Okay. Now you have to evaluate the risk. How you can evaluate the risk? Evaluate the risk and decide whether existing precautions are adequate or more should be done. You have to check that if there is already control measures implemented or not. If not implemented, you have to implement. If it is implemented, you have to check that whether these controls are effective and they can control the hazard or not. Consider how likely is that each hazard could cause harm, how likely, how many times it could happen, okay, and what is the severity of that hazard. So all these things you have to do in this step 3, evaluate the risk. Okay, after then, qualitative, the risk evaluation, how you can evaluate the risk. There are different ways. Qualitative, use words to describe likelihood and severity, example, acceptable or unacceptable. You can accept or unaccept. Semi-quantitative, use words and numbers to describe likelihood and severity. Quantitative, use numbers to describe both likelihood and severity. So these are the way risk evaluation. Okay. Now, using a scoring system, you can use a scoring system. Normally, most of the companies, not most of the company, I can say that 99% of companies, they are using this method. Okay, likelihood, you can put number, you can choose as per your company. You can put 1, 2, 3 or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's up to you. Now, almost certain means 3. Likelihood, you can see that, okay, likelihood. Risk severity will come here, and this is the likelihood. How frequently it will come, okay? How frequently it will come. Likelihood, severity, okay? Likelihood and severity, it will come. So, severity, it will come A, B, C, D, E, okay? Risk severity. And after then, risk probability means likelihood, how frequently it will happen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay? Now, what you have to do, you have to multiply by this to this. Means likelihood, you have to multiply by the severity. If it is almost certain, means it's happening very frequently, then, and it is very fatal, then 3 into 3, 9. If 3 into 3 is 9, if it is very high, then work should be stopped. Okay, it will go red. Okay, then if it is medium, it will go yellow. If it is very low, it will go green. Okay, so in that way, you have to make your scoring system for risk assessment to evaluate the risk. Okay, now while you are evaluating the risk, the hierarchy of control you have to check. Okay, whenever you are checking the hierarchy of control, you have to think about, first of all, eliminate the hazard. Okay, means eliminating the risk. After that, reduce the hazard. After that, isolate the hazard, control or contain. Then PPE. After then, you have to put the discipline. Okay, these are the hierarchy of control. Now, hierarchy of control, eliminate the hazard. This is the most effective method. The use water-based adhesive paint or instead of solvent-based. That is the one of the way. Use compressed air tools instead of electrical. Reduce the hazard. How we can reduce the hazard? Machine with a lower noise level, low voltage tools. Okay, replacing toxic substance, less harmful. This is the reduce. Sorry. After that, isolate the hazard from people. How? Machine guarding, noise enclosure, barriers around excavations, guardrail to scaffold. Okay, these are the things we can use. After then, control the extent of the exposure. Okay, how we can control. LCDs, okay, residual current devices to electrical equipment that we can use. Okay, after that, PPE, how we can use the PPE. This method is a last resort. Sorry. Okay, then discipline, it is safe system of work. Discipline, IT as information. After then training. After then what you call instruction and supervision. Information, training, instruction and supervision that we have to do. Then safe system of work, permit to work, and risk assessment. These are the way of discipline. Okay, now record your findings. Once you've done your risk assessment, you have to record it. Means you have to make it document the significant hazard, the existing controls, those at risk, further actions if necessary. How you can record? Okay, so I'm showing you one of the example. Risk assessment record. First of all, hazard will come here. Okay, and who might be harmed, they will come here. Then existing control, if it is there. Area of task, department, then if it is what is the likelihood, what is the severity, then risk rating once you are what you call multiplying, then if there is any further action required or not, and what are the control measures that you have to put. Now, once you do the risk assessment, it should be reviewed also. So you cannot just make one document and keep aside. So you have to review it continuously also. Assessment must be reviewed if there is reason to suspect it is no longer valid. If it is no longer valid, there has been a significant change. It is best practice to review assessment periodically. Okay, so you have to review your risk assessment periodically. You should not keep your document, okay, aside. Now, the young persons, prior to employing a young persons above 18 years, the employer must carry out risk assessment and take particular account of the following. Okay, inexperience and lack of awareness, immaturity, physical and psychological capacity, duration and exposure to physical, chemical, and biological agents, use of work equipment, risk from agents and process, environmental conditions, example heat, cold, noise, and vibration. So if you are hiring any young person above 18 years of age, make sure these are the things you take concern. Okay, and after that, you have to think all of these things, and you have to do the risk assessment. Then you employ new workers. Okay. After that, expectant and nursing mother. If you have any expectant and nursing mothers, then you have to make sure that there are many factors that may increase risk to pregnant ladies. Okay. Exposure to chemicals, pesticides, and lead causing intra intracellular changes and mutagens, affecting damaged embryo, and biological exposure can cause hepatitis. Okay. Exposure to physical agents, example, extreme temperature, manual handling, stress, and ergonomic issues. Issues associated by wearing PPE. So these are the things also you have to concern. Okay. If you have any expectant or nursing mothers. Now the personal protective equipment. What is a PPE? PPE, the types of PPE available, disadvantages and limitations of the PPE. All equipment, including clothing, affording protection against the weather, which is intended to be worn or held by a person at work and which protects them against adverse condition or risk, or they reduce the level of risk or level of hazard that we are calling, designed to meet the objective, that is the PPE. Now, what is included in the PPE? Protective clothing, gloves, aprons, and shoes, protective goggles, apparatus, protective harness, equipment breathing, and fall protective harness. Now, what is not included in PPE? General work uniforms, offensive weapons, portable detectors, PPE worn while traveling on the road, equipment used while playing competitive sport. So these are not the PPE. Now, the types of personal protective equipment. Okay, stop, wear your PPE, okay, gloves, okay, hat, goggles, okay, earmuffs. Okay, these are the types of PPE: eyes, specs, face, full face shield, hands, gloves, feet, shoes, okay, whole body, chemical suits. Okay, these are the types of PPE we will use at our workplace. Okay, now the types of personal protective equipment. Respirator, this is a respirator. Okay, this mask, dust and organic vapors, half or full face respirator with dust or gas cartridge, powder respirator, example airflow helmet. Okay, self-contained breathing apparatus. Now, disadvantages and limitations of apparatus. PPE only protects the wearer, so it will protect only the wearer, not the people surround. It does not prevent or control hazard. It will only protect, but it will not control the hazards. It may not fit properly. If the person, they have the beard, or they have the very big head, or their hair is very long, so, and they are wearing the specs, so it will not fit properly. It may not be comfortable, because if you are working in sweaty environment, you will sweat too much and you can't see properly also. It may not be practical. It only protects when it is worn. It will only protect whenever you are using it. If you are not using it, it will not protect you. Okay. Suitability. Suitable means appropriate for the risk and the condition. It should be appropriate. Takes account of economic requirements, will fit the wearer, control the risk without increasing overall risk, complies with design or manufacturing standards. This is called the suitability of PPE at work. Okay. Now, compatibility. When more than one item of PPE must be worn, the items will be compatible. Example, hard hat and ear defenders. In this picture, you can see that hard hat and ear defenders are using by the employee, okay, worker. We have to make sure that whenever they are using these 2 or 3 different types of PPE at a time, okay, that should be compatible. Okay, they should be like suitable equally. Okay, that we have to check. Now, PPE at work assessment. Assess the risk that the PPE is being provided to protect against the PPE itself. Reviewed when no longer valid or when significant change occurs. Okay, that you have to assess. Your PPE should be maintained properly also. That you have to make sure that it is kept clean and it must be replaced whenever it is getting damaged. Accommodation must be provided. Okay, proper store must be provided for the PPE. Segregation of clean and dirty and drying facilities should be provided for the PPE. Information, instruction, and supervision. Before you provide any PPE to your worker, make sure you are provide them training properly. How to wear it, how to use it, what are the things they have to check, when it will not work, when they have to report it. Okay, so all these things you have to provide the information, instruction, and training to your employee. PPE at work use. Employer must ensure that PPE provide properly use. They have to make sure that they are using it whenever it is required. Employee must use PPE in accordance with their training and instruction. Okay. If it is loose or defect, they have to report to the employer also. That is the responsibility of worker. Now, the management of change. Let's talk about management of change 3.5. The impact of change. Workplace experience change routinely. Changes may be due to construction work. Okay. Temporary works. The hazards of temporary works can present a risk to the workers. Very importantly, the hazard of temporary works can also present risk. Okay. What is the impact of change? The impact of change can be varied. Okay. Because of the permanent staff or because of the temporary staff. Managing the impact of change. How we can manage the impact of changes. The main idea to manage the impact of change, it is risk assessment. Through the risk assessment, you can manage the impact of change. Communication and cooperation with the employee. Appointment of competent people. You have to appoint the competent people. Then segregation. Segregation of what? The area where the temporary works or change is happening. Okay. You have to segregate that area. You have to develop the emergency procedure. What emergency procedure? To deal with these changes. Okay. Welfare provisions. Adequate welfare provision must be made for the workers engaged in the temporary works or change. Then you have to review these changes. These are the documentation. These are the control measures which you have implemented. You have to review them to make sure that these are the things are working properly or effectively. Okay. After that, safe system of work. Safe system of work. What is a safe system of work? It is a formal procedure which results from a systematic examination of a task in order to identify all of the hazards. Okay. Through this process, you can identify all of the hazards and you can take the proper control measure. It defines safe methods to ensure that hazards are eliminated or risk minimized. Okay. Safe system of work. The safe system of work will include consideration of the following. Okay, depending on the circumstances. Layout, coordination of different work, methods of our process, PPE, fire precautions, environment, hygiene and welfare arrangements, hazards and associated with materials. These are included in the safe system of work. Now, when developing safe system of work, when we should develop materials and substances, hazard to health, if there is any hazards to health, handling mechanical or manual, if you are handling any mechanical or manual, you should develop. Equipment and plant, guarding on machinery. If you are guarding any machinery, then you have to develop the safe system of work. Environment, lighting and slippery floors, then safe system of work. People, then competence and young people. You have to develop a safe system of work. Now, whenever you are developing a safe system of work, you have to make sure these are the things are considered. Language, level of detail, format, and flexibility. Now, permit to work system. What is a permit to work? A permit to work system is a formal safety control system designed to prevent accidental injury to personnel, damage to plant, premises, and product, particularly when the work process possible high risk. Okay, foreseeable high risk. Operation mostly relate to maintenance work which can only be carried out if normal safeguards are dropped. It can also include certain types of routine works which demands that special precautions are taken. Now, are appropriate for high-risk work. Permit to work system are very appropriate and very important for high-risk work. Work on electrical system, entry into confined space, hot work, work on operational pipelines, and work at height. Okay, so these are the works are very, very important where we need the permit to work. Can be multi-purpose or specific, must be simple to understand. It should be simple. Okay, it should include issue, who is issuing the permit to work, who is receiving the permit to work, that should be signature, clearance, return to service, cancellation, and extension. These are the details should be included in the permit to work permit. Okay, must be supported by a management system. It should be supported by a management system. It should be unique ID reference number on the permit to work format. Duration of the permit should be included properly. Purpose of the permit is for, to which purpose you are issuing the permit, you should mention properly. What work is to be done? By that permit, what type of work will be done? Where the work can be done? Okay, area, the plant and equipment involved. What are the plant and equipment is there will be involved? Who is authorized to do and issue the work? Okay, who will do that? The steps to make safe, isolation and monitoring, the hazards that remain, okay, the control measures to be used, emergency and communication procedures. All these information should be included in the permit to work format. Okay. Sorry, must also consider clearance of the plant area, recipient plant area, back, cancellation of the permit, extension arrangements. These are the things also included, should be included. Any place including any chamber, tank, wet, silo, trench, pipe, sewer, okay, by virtue it's enclosed, there arise a reasonable foreseeable specified risk. That's called confined space. We are calling it confined space. Now, what is a confined space? What is a specified risk of a confined space? From the confined space, there is a risk of fire or explosion, loss of consciousness or aspiration arising from gas, fumes, vapor, or lack of oxygen. Aspiration arising from free-flowing solids, loss of consciousness due to increase in body temperature, drowning as a result of increase in level of liquids. Fire and explosion in confined space, petrol, vapors, propane, butane, and acetylene. These are the things can be naturally present also by the methane also. Methane and hydrogen sulfide, which are naturally evolved from sewage or decaying organic matter. Solvents, acetone, toluene, white spirit, alcohol, benzene, thinners, etc. Hydrogen and other gases evolved from process such as battery charging. Okay. Oxygen enrichment from oxygen bottles. These are the risk of fire and explosion. Now the aspiration. How the aspiration can happen? Aspiration can happen from hydrogen sulfide, usually from sewage or decaying vegetation, carbon monoxide from internal combustion engines or any incomplete combustion, especially of LPG, carbon dioxide from any fermentation or naturally evolved in soil or rocks. Okay. Fumes and vapors also, sodium and from petrol and solvents. These are the things can cause aspiration. Aspiration means the lack of oxygen. Lack of oxygen due to biological process, breathing, fermentation, and decay. Lack of oxygen due to chemical processing, rusting. Okay. Entrapment in free-flowing solids such as flour, grain, or cement. The person they can entrap also if there is any free-flowing solids are there in the tank. Now, other hazards in confined space. What are the other hazards that could be? Disease such as well disease and tetanus, Electrocutions from unsuitable or damaged equipment, they can get it. Injury from mechanical parts, they can fall from height also. Difficulties to access and egress, they have only one way of access and egress. Difficulties of rescuing injured people, if there is any emergency, they cannot rescue easily, okay, and effectively, and they cannot use the rescue equipment properly inside the confined space as well. These are the other hazards. Now, management of risk in confined space. How you can manage the risk in confined space? You have to avoid the need to enter the confined space as long as possible. So do not enter. If you can do the work outside the confined space, do that work, do that thing. If entry is needed, if you need the entry, you can't avoid the entry, then first of all, you have to do the risk assessment, and it should be done by the competent person. I hope you know the definition of competent person, the person who has the sufficient knowledge, experience, okay, and the training as well. Safe system of work should be developed. Emergency arrangements should be developed for the confined space work, and the training. People who's going to work inside the confined space, they should be trained, they should be competent properly. Okay. Now, emergency procedures and first aid. The need for emergency procedure. Despite all the controls that can be introduced into an organization, things can still go wrong. Okay. So we cannot control all and everything, even small cuts, small things where we need the first aid. Definitely those cases will come up. So that's why we need the first aid foresight, okay, for the organization. Emergency procedures, arrangements, foreseeable emergencies, okay. If there is an outlining of the foreseeable emergency that might occur with the circumstances in which they might occur and their foreseeable outcomes. Procedures for raising the alarm. Whenever you are making any emergency procedure arrangements, you have to include these other things. Possible emergency. What are the emergencies can happen? How the people they will raise the alarm. Procedure for raising the alarm. Procedure to be followed. Okay. What are the procedures to be followed during the emergency in the event of fire, bomb threats, or a chemical or explosion? Provision of suitable equipment. What are the equipment we need during the emergencies? What are the PPEs we need during the emergencies? Those are the equipment should be included also in the procedure. Nomination of responsible staff. Who is the responsible staff during the emergency? Okay, maybe the fire marshal, securities, first aiders. Okay, those are the staff need to be clearly mentioned. Dealing with the media. If there is any emergency, who is going to deal with the media? Maybe the manager, health and safety manager, maybe the CEO of the company, maybe the owner of the company. Who will deal with the media? Arrangements for contacting emergency services. While internal emergency arrangements must be made by the organization to deal for possible incidents, external emergency services, who is going to contact with them during the emergencies, those things also should be included. Now, first aid requirement. An employer has a duty. Each and every employer, they have the duty that basic on the moral duty and the legal duty that they should provide of first aid facilities, and those first aid facilities should be monitored also regularly. Okay, excellent. And they should provide the facility properly. Okay, and these are the three elements must be provided. Facilities, they have to provide the proper facility, okay, for the first aid. After that, equipment for the first aid. Suitably stocked first aid kits and other equipment as necessary, and personal staff with appropriate training to deliver first aid treatment. Okay, and the person who's going to provide the first aid. So these are the three important things an employer should provide. They are providing first aid. Okay. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much for your time and patience, friends. Okay. I hope you like this video, and please do not forget to subscribe my channel and like my video. Okay. And please do share with your friends and colleagues.